It's a rare meeting that will go perfectly smoothly, even when you're recording them. So if you make a mistake during a meeting that you're recording, you may want to edit that mistake out, and Connect has a way that you can do that. To get started, I'm going to go to the meeting portal site, and I can get there manually by typing in the URL, or I can simply select Meeting, Manage Meeting Information. And in my web browser, I'll have information about the meeting, including the recordings. So if I click on the recordings link, I can see the recording that I've made. Now, if I click on the recording's name, I'll see information about the recording, and I can edit that by clicking Edit there. But this isn't really what I want to do. This is just the name and the summary and some other information. What I want to do is edit the content of the recording. So I'm going to click on Save, and I want to return to the recordings list because it's here that I can actually edit the recording for its content. The Edit link here, when I click it, will first off start the recording. Okay, everybody, we're just waiting for a... And I'm going to pause it because I happen to know where I need to start and I don't want to have to listen to it. But I'm going to say that if you're going to edit your recordings, it's a good idea to watch the recording all the way through. Understand where you want to edit and even use the time indicators down here to jot down the chunks that you're going to remove from the meeting. And so it's basically a two-step process. Once you understand where you want to edit, I'm going to drag the slider down here. I'm going to edit quite a bit of this first part of the meeting out because this was just that preamble stuff where I was greeting people and chit-chatting here and there, but I really wasn't presenting anything. And I know that once I cleared the chat history, that was when I wanted to start the meeting proper. In fact, I'm going to go just a little bit more because that pod over here that said change the layout, that was my indication that I started the meeting. So to chop out that piece, I'm going to drag these little sliders, the in and out points, so that I leave the in point at the beginning, the out point here where my time indicator is, and then I'm going to click the cut icon. Once I've clicked the cut icon, then I'm going to go ahead and click Save. What Save does is it tells the Connect server that that part of the meeting needs to be removed. And it will actually reload the meeting in your browser window. So we'll just go ahead and get going. Welcome, everybody. And it will start it at the point where you actually intend the meeting to start. So it's cut that whole chunk out. Now, you can continue to do this over and over again to get little bits and pieces of your meeting out of the recording that you don't want to have there. For example, if there were other mistakes that you've made, you can get them out as well. Now, it's also important to realize that you might accidentally cut something out that you intended to keep. Connect doesn't really get rid of anything. It remembers everything. The whole meeting is there for you. If you want to revert to the original, notice that this Revert to Original button appears. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to close this. We're going to go back to the recordings list, and I'm going to force the page to refresh by clicking here on this name, and then I'll just return to the recordings list. Notice that there's a new link here, View Original. The original recording is still available to me, and I can access it at any time after I've made these edits. If I want to undo those edits and bring that content back, I'll click on the Edit link, maximize this a little bit, pause it so I don't have to listen to myself, and simply click Revert to Original. Select OK. Connect is going to take a few moments to send a set of instructions back to the server to remove those edits. Okay, everybody, And you can hear that it took me back to the beginning of the meeting and put that chunk back in that I had cut out in the first place. So editing a recording is actually a matter of just giving some instructions to Connect about what sections of the recording to skip. It's also important to understand what you can't do in a recording, and you need to understand this. Let's say that someone put something in this chat pod that were inappropriate, but everything else on this page were something that I really wanted to see. There isn't really a way to blank this out. You can only cut out sections of time in their entirety. And that's yet another reason why it's a good idea to use layouts, to segment your meeting, and only give people access to the screen at times that you can cut the entirety out of the meeting, as opposed to having a chat pod sitting on top of your presentation so that it basically ruins your ability to use a recording if someone should put something in the chat pod that's inappropriate. But if you do segment your meeting with layouts and you make sure that you're very careful about what you allow people access to, you can create a very easy to edit recording that once you're done editing and saving, go back here, is something that you can share with a simple URL, because you can just send this URL out, people will watch the recordings, the edited material won't be there, so it's a nice tight representation of the meeting that you held without all of the little bumps and hiccups that you may encounter along the way.